be moderating today's I'll be moderating today's session. The South African Chamber of Commerce was formed in 2019 with the aim of providing a platform to promote trade, investment, finance, and industry between South Africa and Singapore. Our goal is to build relationships, provide inspiration, encouragement, and support to members within the community, and to promote opportunities for member companies through education, best practice, and awareness of opportunities in Singapore, South Africa, and Asia. Africa Society of Singapore has been in existence since 1963, and what started off as a social club has evolved into a diverse community that gathers a few times a year in support of charities in the areas of conservation and the underprivileged. The boards and the members of both the South African Chamber and Africa Society would like to send our best wishes and encouragement and support to all our listeners that are either in or have family and friends in South Africa. We know it's a difficult time, and we're thinking of you and hope you're all staying safe. Sorry. Today's topic for discussion is Life After Rugby, which we have organised in the build-up to the British and Irish Lions Tour of South Africa to play the current Rugby World Champions. So joining us today for this discussion, we're very excited and privileged to have two well-renowned and distinguished rugby stars in Bryan Habana and David Pocock in joining us. Thank you so much for coming on board. Both myself and the audience today are super excited to meet you and hear stories on and off the rugby field. I'd like to, before getting into our discussion, just want to say a few special thank yous. Firstly, a special thanks to Danny Benson, who is our president of the Africa Society, Nigel Ritson, the president of the South African Chamber of Commerce, for allowing us to host this event. Our supporting partners, the British Chamber, Australian Chamber, New Zealand Chamber, and the Tanglan Rugby Club, South African Chamber of Commerce in Korea. Thank you for being on board. Sean McEwen from Eagle Eye Auctioneers will be facilitating our live auction later. We have some fantastic items, so please support us today as proceeds from the auction will go towards the Bryan Habana Foundation and the Rangelands Restoration Trust in Zimbabwe, founded by David. Cherie Ball from Wine to Share, who has supplied us with complimentary wine and wine vouchers to the first 50 guests today. We hope that the winners are enjoying their bottles of Harbiskloof and Spear wine at home right now. African Marketplace and Nikki Hayes for your contribution to the raffle with a hamper valued at $150. And a final big thank you to our headline sponsor, Rock Capital, and specifically Greg Atherston, who's been a regular supporter and sponsor of the Africa Society of Singapore. Rock has sponsored a one-night staycation as part of our lucky draw at the Capella Hotel at Sentosa, Singapore. Winners will be announced later, and I'd like to just hand over to Greg to say a few special words of thanks.
Thank you, Jason, and the SA Chamber of Commerce and African Society for organising this great event tonight. I'm sure most of you have heard of Rock Capital. We're one of the largest boutique financial planning companies in Singapore. We look after all expat tax and financial affairs, both in Singapore and abroad. Apart from financial planning, Rock Capital is becoming more and more involved with charities around the world. I'm sure there will be a few charities needing support given the current situation in South Africa, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. While we sit in a very privileged country in Singapore, I hope all of your loved ones back in South Africa are safe and this lawlessness comes to an end and the country can focus on the important rugby matters at hand. Back over to you, Jason, as we can't wait to hear from Bryan and David. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate that. Just some housekeeping after the discussion. As I mentioned, we'll have the live auction and we'll also be having a Q&A session with Bryan and David. So please post your questions into the Q&A facility on the Zoom toolbar throughout the webinar, and we'll address those questions at the end. So, let's now start with the discussion, and thanks, David and Bryan, for being on board today. I want to just, before getting into this discussion of life after rugby, I wanted to come to you, Bryan. I mean, you're on the ground there in South Africa, part of the Sky Sports media team. Can you give the listeners just a heads up of what's happening with the tour? We had the game last night, and COVID and now the violence that's happening. So maybe just give us on the ground what's happening.
Hi, Jason. Brilliant to be talking, and then thanks for involving myself and David in what will hopefully be an eventful online webinar. Yeah, it's interesting times. I think the rugby aside, a lot of civil unrest, a lot of social unrest, looting, rioting, particularly in the KwaZulu-Natal area and sort of reaching Johannesburg, and potential talks coming to Joburg. So I think there is a lot of tension, whether it be racial, political, points that are leading to a lot of justification of what is currently happening. The news of former President Jacob Zuma going to jail. So there's quite a bit. I think sport does give you a brief outlet to potentially forget about things, but it is rather difficult, Jason, at the moment to forget about what's going on in the country. Purely from a rugby perspective, there's been a lot of disruptions for this tour, a lot of things that potentially haven't gone as smoothly as possible. I think the biggest thing, given that the pandemic and the restrictions on travel has seen the traveling fans not being able to come down, which has sort of subdued the tour just a little bit. I think the SAA team, which was effectively, really a Springbok side last night, really put the Lions to the test and came out victorious, which makes the test series starting next week, Saturday, really exciting. But yeah, for brief moments of time, you get to enjoy the beauty that sport plays. But contrastingly, given the current times and situations we're facing in South Africa, it's very much at the end of many people's minds at the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks for that tough circumstances. And we're looking forward to the rugby. I mean, last night's game was epic. I watched it. It was 2 a.m. here in Singapore, but really looking forward to the test series. And we'll talk about the rugby and the test series a bit later on in the discussion. So maybe just then to set some context for the viewers and the listeners in terms of life after rugby and how this came about. And David knows Rob Beargry, and we got chatting about life after rugby. South Bryan, the connection with Nigel through the chamber, and what you're doing. And this is where the idea came to talk about life after rugby. And it's not only about rugby players. I think it's a challenging environment for all sports professionals, that start off their careers in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s, come into this very structured, organized life, and then, head to their 30s, and all of a sudden their careers are coming to an end. And that's sometimes quite difficult for young people, young sportsmen to now have to look at the next step. And I think it's a very relevant discussion, not only for sportsmen, but also for corporates. And as they get to the end of their careers and to the twilight age times, is that transition. So it's really relevant, not only for sports people, but for anyone that's coming to the end of their career. So looking forward to having that discussion a little bit later about life after rugby. But before that, I'd like to take a few steps back and like to hear from both of you about the beginning and the sacrifices that you would have had to have made potentially for rugby, and what was the trigger at that moment that got you into rugby. And I know, Bryan, you were at King Edward's, big rugby school, very familiar with that. David, you were at I've just forgotten your school name for a second, but it was also a big rugby school in Brisbane. So you had the culture of rugby, but what was the trigger that pushed you into becoming a professional, or at least pushing to become a professional? Maybe David, you can kick off with an answer on how rugby became important to you.
Thanks, Jason, and hi everyone, wherever you are at the moment. I grew up on a farm in the middle of Zimbabwe, and since I can remember, rugby was just sort of a huge part of our family, and grew up with the rugby ball. I've got 2 younger brothers. We were forever doing stuff in the backyard. I only got to actually start playing rugby in grade 3, and the year before that was the '95 World Cup, and we were obviously huge Springbok supporters. And as a young kid, it just did something, I don't know, to me in a way. It's kind of it was etched in my mind. Just the occasion, how momentous it was, and seeing and hearing adults talk about what it was doing for South Africa. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of something I always look forward to, and it turned out in grade 3 that I was pretty good at it. Compared to some of my teammates. So I got bumped up to the grade 5s and kind of had to fend for myself up there for a couple of years.
Okay, so you started quite young. I mean, at grade 3, that's what, 10, that's 9, 10 years old type of thing. So started really early, and I think so. It's great to hear that it started. Your rugby passion started in Africa, which was obviously close to all of us, or a lot of us on the call. So, and then obviously you transitioned across to Brisbane, and that's where Quade Cooper was at the same school as you, I believe, and that was obviously a big part of your rugby startup.
Yeah, so I moved to Brisbane as a 14-year-old, and I guess getting an opportunity there after everything that happened in Zimbabwe with the sort of land redistribution program, wanted to play for the Wallabies, and was lucky enough to go to a really good rugby school, play alongside Quade Cooper. And the year after I finished school, the Western Force were kind of coming into the comp. So I guess the timing was great, and it was something that I always wanted to do.
Okay, good. Thanks, David. Bryan, what was that trigger that got you and decided to take up, or the passion for rugby? I think I don't know if did you start playing rugby as early as grade 3? I mean, I know in Joburg we generally played from standard 6.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I'm obviously a little bit older than David when the '95 Rugby World Cup came to South Africa. So I was a 12-year-old boy, named after Brian Robson and Gary Bailey. Rugby was probably the furthest thing from our mind. I wanted to be the next South African export into the the English Premiership from a soccer perspective. And yeah, much like David, the '95 was a massive watershed moment in my life. My dad took me out of school for the first time ever. Jumped in a car, went down to Cape Town from Johannesburg, got to experience the opening game of the Rugby World Cup where South Africa took on Australia. Peter Hendricks running around, David Campese, just seeing grown men cry, not really understanding exactly what this whole new forte in a very young democracy, was all about. And then, just got to go on an experience where we were at Ellis Park when Chester Williams scored those 4 tries. As a family, we jumped back in the car to go to Durban for the semi-final against France that was just rain-drenched. And then I was one of the lucky few 60-odd thousand to be at Ellis Park when Joel Stransky kicked that ball over. Nelson Mandela, along with Francois Pienaar, held that cup called Bull. And the words that it wasn't for the 60,000 in the stadium, it was for the 48 million South Africans, without a doubt, lit the fire. And started playing, as you rightly said, Jason, the following year at King Edward's as a 13-year-old boy. First ever game of rugby for the under-14 G side. So I didn't quite get bumped up, to 2 levels like David did when he started playing, but just absolutely loved playing a game that a whole nation had been inspired by, had been united by, and sort of dreamt of, one day making it. It's almost an unrealistic dream in South Africa, given how many, young boys in particular want to grow up to be Springboks. But that 1995, moment was incredibly inspirational. Without a doubt, a watershed moment for me, and sort of laid the foundation to hopefully dream big, and in so doing, maybe one day do the same.
Yeah, well, you did it. So I remember that day so clearly too. I'm a bit older than you. I was in my early 20s, but it's just unfortunately I wasn't at the stadium, but an amazing experience, that '95 and what it did. Then maybe moving on a little bit, can you maybe, David, give us some, when was your big break? What was it that, you obviously played it in high school, I think you played Australian schools, and then what was that big break, or what took you to that breakthrough moment? And was there an influence or someone in your life that gave you that opportunity?
Yeah, I mentioned the Western Force came into the Super 15. in the year after I finished school, and the backline coach for the force had seen me play, and they offered me a contract over there to sort of not to train with the top squad beyond, you know, hardly any money, but get a chance to train with the top Super Rugby squad. And the Queensland Reds, you know, where I was in Brisbane, had just offered me an academy deal, but probably I think it was like 2.5 times as much money. So I really credit my dad, you know, as a teenager trying to think that through. Do you go for the opportunity where you're training with your heroes from day one, or do you know, take the money but be in the academy for a year? And yeah, my dad really, he didn't encourage me either way, but he said something that, you know, I haven't forgotten, and that was that the right decisions are often the hard ones to make. And so, yeah, as a 17-year-old, I was over to Perth, training with, you know, guys I'd idolized, and I guess that was the big break and the start of it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that is inspirational stuff to have, and especially from your dad. Bryan, to you, what was who was the influencer, and what was that big break? I know you played for the Lions in the beginning. You know, was there someone that pulled you out and said, you know, we want you, and put you on a fast stream, or who was that? And was there someone?
Yes, I didn't really play age group level representative rugby for South Africa. You know, I played, we called the Craven Week, as our sort of premier junior competition where, you know, guys get selected for the South African schools side. I was playing sort of the B side for the Lions, so wasn't really exposed. And then, you know, Eugene Yellow sort of approached me. I was extremely small. I was still playing scrum half at school. Eugene Yellow sort of picked me up to get involved in the Lions under 19, and sort of just, yeah, continued through the junior ranks. And I think it was in my under 20 year where Eugene Yellow actually said to me that he really believes I should make a move to center, which I was sort of doubting because didn't think I was a good enough scrum half to make it at the highest level. And he then, yeah, sort of moved to center. I had to do he asked me to do a thesis on, you know, one of the players, and Brian O'Driscoll had just had that tour to Australia with the British and Irish Lions, and, you know, was by far easily the best outside center in world rugby. They did a very, I think, very poorly written now, if I'd had to go back and ask Lopi Yellow for that. And then moved to center in my under 20 year, you know, got selected for this under 21s. You know, had a fantastic tournament over in Scotland, where unfortunately we came third, but on an individual basis, that gone really well with, you know, for me. And then I actually got an opportunity coming back to South Africa post that World Cup in Scotland, where I got approached by the Brumbies to potentially follow a similar route to Clyde Rathbone. And it was a really interesting time because, you know, I wasn't quite sure where my pathway was going within South African rugby. At the Lions in particular, we had the likes of Kubani Bobo, Topis Lagrange, Dark Fourie, Yori Miller, you know, all these guys that have been playing World Cups and for the Springboks. So a lot of uncertainty. And then about a week or so later, my dad phoned me en route home from Boston. He said, listen, he's just got a call from SA Rugby. Jake White selected you for the incoming tour of the Tri Nations in 2004. Sort of looked at my watch thinking, you know, is this April Fool's Day? And yeah, you know, got an opportunity like David, it was probably a couple of years later, but, you know, to walk into a hotel with the likes of a Osturan, Brayton Pulser, Percy Montgomery, John Smith, you know, my heroes, and just lap up everything. I think I'm pretty fortunate that South Africa went on to win that year's Tri Nations in 2004, and, you know, just being in that environment and, you know, knowing how passionate I was about South Africa, you know, that opportunity to go to the Brumbies, you know, then sort of just went out the back door. So I'd say 2003, 2004. You know, a massive turning point. Obviously, you know, it was a long journey to get to that point. You know, 3 years of Vodacom Cup rugby, which is sort of a level under Super Rugby. You know, club rugby at university, but yeah, just getting to experience, you know, like David says, being in the same environment as your heroes. You know, see the work rate, see what it means to be representing your country at the highest level was something that I just never wanted to let go. Yeah,
great. Well, you know, the rest is history, I suppose, and that leads to my next kind of question is and I like to use the phrase next level, but what was hashtag next level? That's the saying, isn't it? But what was that moment where, yeah, for both of you, you really took your careers just jumped up. You've had this established, you've broken through. What was that next level moment? I mean, I've had a look, and obviously Bryan 2007 was the World Cup ROB Player of the Year. David, yours was I think 2010. You were Australian Player of the Year and nominated for IRB in 2010 and 11. So those are the accolades. But when did it come to you that you'd now made it, and you'd now you reached that hashtag next level stage? Maybe Bryan, you want to go with that one?
Yeah, I mean, people always ask, what was the best moment in your career? Was it, winning Super Rugbies? Was it winning World Cups? Beating New Zealand in New Zealand? And as amazing as all of those are, and the incredible memories that you get to take with you when all is said and done, I think for me, without a doubt, making my debut for the Springboks in 2004, as a 21-year-old, coming on against England, the then world champions, at the home of rugby Twickenham, and scoring a try with my first touch of the ball, to announce yourself on the international stage was extremely privileged and honorable. But I think for me, it's sort of instilled a sense of never wanting to let it go. I understood the responsibility, I understood the pressure that came with it, but more so than that, I never wanted to let that feeling go. And I wanted to do it 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, potentially become the first player of color to do it 100 times in South Africa. And I think that first moment of tasting it sort of made you want to sort of hold it and keep it close to you for as long as possible. And like I said, through all the highs, through all the lows, because I think what sometimes people don't understand, the cauldron that is professional sports, you experience the highest of highs, and at the same time you experience the lowest of lows. But I mean, for me, that specific moment just made it want to linger on for as long as possible. And getting to do it alongside the John Smiths, the Austie Runts, the Percy Montgomerys, the Brayton Paulses of the world was just incredibly amazing, and again set the tone for the rest of my career.
So the bug was bitten at that point. For yourself, David, what was that? Was that moment where you kind of felt you made it?
I was always pretty hard on myself, so I never really felt like I made it. I think playing at a World Cup was, I don't know, for me, having grown up just really wanting to play at a World Cup, and seeing what South Africa had done in '95, and then obviously 2007 again. I was kind of playing professional rugby but watching, and you just, I don't know, you just see how incredible it must be to be that team at the end of the tournament that is the best in the world. And so getting to play at a World Cup was incredible. Never got to be part of a team that did that. And retired pretty disappointed that wasn't something that happened. But on reflecting a couple of years later, it was an amazing experience and a childhood dream. So I'll probably say the World Cup in 2011.
2011, and that was when you destroyed us in that quarterfinal in South Africa. That was it a quarterfinal, I think, when we lost 11-9, and I mean, that was an amazing test match for yourself. I think you were man of the match, and you went on into the semi-finals. So I think a great tournament, and you were nominated.
That really wasn't good for relationships back in Zimbabwe. Or South Africa.
Sure. I remember.
I think years for some family friends to talk to me.
I think we blamed
David, we just blamed Bryce Lawrence. Don't worry. You were pretty decent.
Yeah, exactly. So it was the ref. It was the ref. So maybe just thanks for that, guys. And I think amazing careers you've both had. But having and being in the limelight now, and having made it, how did you keep yourselves grounded? What were the things that you did? I mean, professional sportsmen, I think less so in rugby and cricket, but more so, in some of the other professional sports. But sometimes, professional sportsmen can run away with it into the limelight. But how did you keep yourselves grounded? What were some of the things that you did personally to keep you on the ground? Maybe David?
Sure. I've got two younger brothers, so they never let me get ahead of myself.
They'll give you a hard time.
That's a good start. And I guess I deliberately tried to have friends and sort of support network and people outside of rugby. And I felt like that was a great way to sort of stay in touch with reality in a way. It can become a bit of a bubble. But having interests outside the game and spending time working on them with people, I think really helped. I think personally on like a day-to-day thing,
so
I think starting the day with some gratitude is a pretty good way to start the day and stay grounded. So that's something that I've tried to do.
Yeah, no, surround yourself with those people that then you have that trust and that strength with, and they bring you back down to ground. I think that's a great way to do it. But yourself, Bryan, anything specific?
Yeah, I think support structures are really important. I think, for me, I had my dad who sort of pushed me and sort of kept me going home. You had to iron your own clothes, do your own washing, make your bed, have people outside like those sort of rugby that potentially know who you are and sort of keep you to a line where they potentially believe you should be. I think it does, there's no sort of guidebook or handle on, especially at a very young age, to be thrust into the limelight to say exactly what it is and how you cope with being a professional athlete, potentially at the highest level. No one tells you about the lowest of lows and how to handle the highest of the highest. So I think having those people in your corner who can aptly critique you, but know that it's not coming out of a sense of wanting you to do worse than what you already are, but really wanting you to improve as a person. I think, particularly at the Bulls and in the early part of my career, we had a group that, continually sort of had Bible studies and things, and, focusing on the fact that as big as rugby was in our life, that it potentially shouldn't be our life, because I think that's also, particularly in the transition phase, where a lot of professional athletes actually struggle in the fact that the only thing that or known for the better part of the last 10 to 15 years is all of a sudden taken away from you. And if you don't have that understanding of rugby plays a big part of your life, but that it shouldn't be your life, and it's incredibly difficult to try and find that balance. And just on balance, I mean, I think myself and David were the worst at trying to find a balance, because you just wanted to be the best in the world, and you sort of focused every waking second of the day on how to try to achieve that. So I think being able to try find that balance of knowing that rugby was a big part of your life, but that it wasn't your life. I think I understood developing a brand and building relationships and networks outside of the game, which I think really has helped me in this transition phase. And also, like David, one of my core things is, when you wake up every morning, I honestly believe that you have a choice to make on how you're going to approach the day, no matter the circumstances. And for me, I tend to try choose positive more often than not, because if you choose positive, you almost create like this positive radius around you, and everyone you come into contact with then almost reflects that positivity. And yes, times aren't always easy, and I'll be the first to say that I have an extremely privileged and fortunate life, and it's possibly easy to wake up positive more often than not. But then your interaction, respect for yourself, potentially leading to respect for those around you. So I don't think there's a set way. Each and every person is individual, and they need to find out what works and makes them sort of be on a place where they can actually perform at a maximal perspective as much as possible throughout the course of the day. But sort of little things about having those in your corner that can critique you positively, that you understand again where you're from, and that for me, I think without rugby, knowing that I need to try be okay when rugby's not there was really important.
Great, thanks, Bryan. And I mean, you're kind of leading up into the next part of what we wanted to talk about, and having that, getting to the end of your careers, and having to now cope and deal with, having to be in the limelight at the top sportsman, top of your game, and now having to see the youngsters coming through. And I listened to a podcast Joe van Niekerk and AJ Fenter did, and they were talking about the end of their careers, and how, I think it was AJ, there was kind of holding, he was in the first team, and then next minute he was holding tackle bags, and his youngsters were getting signed up, and having to deal with that, your body's aching, you're not getting to the end. And I think some rugby players can, they really battle, or sportsmen battle with that, and coping with that, and obviously can lead to mental illness, etc., etc. But I mean, your positive attitude is amazing, Bryan, and I think that's the more positive you are, I think that just breeds that around you. But maybe David, how did you cope with that transition? I think you retired, sorry, quite, you're still quite young. You could be playing right now. I mean, you're only in your early 30s. What made you decide now to make that transition, and leave rugby?
It wasn't one particular thing, but I think I just came to the point where I knew it was time to move on. I'd always kind of said, when I stopped enjoying it, I would stop playing, and there was still, parts of it that I enjoyed, but I just knew that, I'd had a great run. I was grateful for the opportunities I've had, but it was time to take that leap and move into the next phase. I didn't particularly have a plan for it, some rough directions. My experience was that retirement was something that you knew would happen at some stage, and you just hoped was a long way away. So yeah, it is tough. It's, like any of those sort of big life transitions, there's a lot of uncertainty, which can bring anxiety, and I guess that's something that you've got to deal with, and be asking yourself good questions to hopefully be able to head in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think it's also, I mean, you go from such a structured environment, being a professional sportsman, and then now it's all changing, and I suppose you've got to create that structure yourself, and I think that can be one of the biggest challenging things. And obviously the best way is to get stuck, get involved. I think you've both of you guys have done some amazing stuff, and I think this is maybe the point now where I'd like you guys to talk a little bit about what you're up to now. And I'm sure there'll be lots of questions coming in based on your rugby, and we can deal with those later. But I think, just to touch on, I mean, David, you're doing stuff back in Zimbabwe with the Rangelands Restoration Trust. There's a fefew slides which we'll just share with the listeners. But maybe you can just tell us a bit about what you're doing there. And I listened to your podcast with Sarah Wilson, and some amazing stuff that you're doing. So maybe you can just share with the listeners. There we go. There's the slide. Rangelands Restoration Trust. Just tell us what you're doing there. And it sounds amazing what I've heard. Go for it.
Thanks, Jason. So we're working in southern Zimbabwe, and really trying to take a really pragmatic approach after land reform in Zimbabwe. There's some amazing areas of land that sets us in the green right down the bottom, on the South African border. There's some incredible wildlife habitat in that area, surrounded by really poor communities. And we're proposing a plan to manage that land for wildlife, with the community getting benefit from it, and then working with communities on improving their lives. working on rangeland management using livestock, so herding livestock in a way that's actually regenerating their land, and then helping communities access markets. I guess really taking a value chain approach where we're saying there are some incredible, resilient people here who, if you can actually help them access markets, they can do the rest. They can manage their land. They can look after their families. So I guess that's our approach with communities, and then obviously this wildlife area. It's a really important migration corridor for elephant. There's about 1,500 elephant in that ecosystem that move between South Africa, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. So at the moment, we're sort of doing 12 months of the dirty work, all the consulting, the mapping, building land use plans, and negotiating agreements with landholders, communities, and government. And then we'll be looking to raise a sort of a lot more money to actually build the infrastructure.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing. I think, firstly, to go back to Zimbabwe, where you're from, and obviously it couldn't have been easy leaving there, and then going back there to create jobs, to restore the land, regenerative agricultural practices. You're helping the community there, and I think it's amazing. And a lot of the funds that we're raising tonight is going to go towards what you're doing there, and I wish you all the success. It's fantastic what you're doing there. So obviously you've got a website, and if people want to hear more, they can click on that website. Just Google David Pocock, you'll find it pretty quickly. So thanks for that, David. Bryan, maybe you can touch on what you're up to. I mean, a lot of what we're raising today is going towards your foundation, which is amazing. And there's a short little video that we're going to show now, and then you can tell us a bit more. Okay, give us a sec. There we go.
This is a community that is struggling. Most of our people here are unemployed. They don't have money. They're pensioners.
Thank you to Bryan Habana Foundation and Sia Coalition. Some of us don't even have food at home, and we appreciate a lot. May God bless you.
So another incredible day impacting those who so dearly need it, those where food insecurity is at their highest levels ever. It's been phenomenal to see the gratitude, it's been phenomenal to see the sincerity in terms of what people receive. We don't want to stop, but we need you to donate. Go to bryanhabanafoundation.org, click on the donate button. However small, however big, every little bit helps. You can see the appreciation in this neighborhood. You can see how people are being given hope. And we want to continue doing that, but we need you all to do that for us. So please donate where you can.
Great, thanks. Over to you, Bryan, and maybe just give us I suppose quite relevant now, and is there any focus from the foundation to help those now, given the situation in South Africa? I mean, you did the COVID stuff last year. What is happening on the ground there?
Yeah, so I initially started the Bryan Habana Foundation back in 2015, Jason, with the main idea to use the platform that I've been given to sort of hopefully pass on skills to the next generation. We actually started with a Team Habana cohort, run out of London with the Change Foundation, where we took kids on a year-long course, where from a 2-week residential, to ongoing evaluation skills throughout the year, with the main component being 100 hours community give back. And I think one of the main reasons for that was the fact that if you can improve someone's immediate circumstances and allow them to make a difference in their individual understanding, but then in their households, in their communities, and have that cataclysmic effect. I really felt, and it went really well for 3 years, and then with the pandemic and everything that happened last year, there definitely was a shift and a pivot, like everyone unfortunately had to do. Being able to get to the learners was really difficult, so we started the food insecurity project along with Ozo, who have come on board and been incredible, and just trying to make a difference. As that last hashtag says, one is better than zero. And sometimes you don't know where to make a difference or even how to start. And I've been very fortunate to use my platform. And yes, a food parcel maybe only feeds a family, for a couple of weeks, but it's food they wouldn't have had. And given what's currently happening, there definitely is, from the foundation perspective, ways to look at various different opportunities over the course of the next while. I think firstly, probably wait till the situation calms down a little bit, because again, it is pretty volatile. Again, we have Nelson Mandela Day on Sunday, the day of Nelson Mandela's birth. So quite a few projects, but again, just trying to make a difference, trying to make an impact. Using the platform that we've been extremely fortunate to have, to bring people together, to give people opportunities that they potentially wouldn't have, and in so doing, hopefully make this world a better place. So extremely grateful for the platform, and like I say, we are trying to make a small impact wherever we go.
Great, that's excellent work you're doing. And on the Pay Me Now side, I mean, that's you're working with Pay Me Now, you're doing Sky Sports, so you're busier than ever, more so than when you're a rugby player. Yeah,
I'm extremely fortunate, Jason. Like David says, the transition is a extremely scary one. I unfortunately didn't finish on my own terms. The last year of my rugby career, I actually didn't get to play one game. And the last time I came off the field, I actually didn't know it was going to be the last time. So it was a very frustrating 13 months, eventually hanging the boots up. I felt that I could have given more, but between injury and non-selection, through the French coach Fabien Galtier at the moment, things just didn't pan out. But I was extremely fortunate to have also been cognizant throughout the course of my career in the value of building a brand. I was very fortunate to have worked with some of the biggest brands globally, like Gillette and Adidas and Land Rover. So I was very fortunate, and the transition period for me was a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest, because there was just a lot of various opportunities in media, being able to work with, I think, Channel 4 back in 2018 with the Heineken Cup, and getting an opportunity to partner with MasterCard for Rugby World Cup 2019. And I started one or two sort of side hustles from a digital sports marketing agency called Retroactive when I initially retired. But my university roommate approached me in 2019 around the earned wage access model. And even though I never completed my studies at university, tech's always been very much a part of my life. Myself and John Smith always vie to see, who can get his hands on the latest iPhone first. And Pay Me Now was an interesting concept. I think trying to understand the massive disconnect, particularly in an emerging market economy like South Africa, where a monthly pay cycle that just unfortunately doesn't work for those that live on a hand-to-mouth day-to-day environment. And sort of where I fit in, after having been initially very reluctant because of the very abusive nature of micro and payday lending. I think the manner in which Pay Me Now is doing things socially responsibly, really fits well with me. Really making an incredible difference in people's lives and in breaking that salary cycle of monthly one, but giving them the opportunity to get their dignity back, because effectively they have earned their money. So it's been an interesting journey, starting a startup 2 months ahead of a pandemic, but it's been really, really well received. We've got just over 70,000 employees with access to Pay Me Now. We've just signed on some of the biggest companies in South Africa. So it is weird having a full-time job, literally having a stand-up every morning at 8:30, focus points that you have to give. But being part, and I think that for me has been incredibly inspiring. Being a part of a new team, using a lot of those skills that people talk about, that sport gives you, and relating that to the professional world. I think a lot of people say that rugby's got all these skills that can be intertwined, and yes, it does. But if you don't use them correctly, you're gonna be found wanting. So extremely grateful for, the skills that rugby taught me, communication, teamwork. I think for anyone, the three pillars of hard work, sacrifice, and dedication are non-negotiables if you want to be successful. But being able to sort of touch on those core skills has been brilliant. And starting a company that has hopefully a lot of legs, if you talk about exit strategies and chatting with VCs in the States, very different to having to learn scrum moves and where I need to be on the field. So, with that, I've been extremely fortunate and, hoping that I can continue playing my part in the business world over the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. David, just you're a student too. You've been studying. What is that? Maybe just share with us a little bit more about what you're up to, and obviously that's not only Rangelands Restoration Trust. It's also stuff in Australia. Maybe just share with us what you're up to.
Sure, I've been studying for far too long. Yeah,
you're still studying. You haven't passed yet.
No, hopefully finish up this year. I'm doing a Master of Sustainable Agriculture.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so it's an area of interest for me, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a great mix of kind of old farmers and then some younger guys coming through with different ideas. So that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's something it's been handy with the Rangelands work in Zimbabwe. I obviously see that intersection between conservation and agriculture crucial, because unless we can find ways for livestock and wildlife to coexist, wildlife's going to have less and less land. Given population projections in Southern Africa. So, we're really trying to tackle that issue of how do you integrate the two? How do you build models that work for both livestock owners and also for conservation, where you want to see elephants and your predators having big areas to move.
Amazing. I mean, I think it's save the soil. We've heard save the oceans, but it's actually now we need to start saving the soil. And I think amazing that you're going to be integrating that into your project in Zimbabwe. Okay, guys, I'm just conscious of time. I want to maybe get onto the rugby side of things, and maybe I want to just kick off with the first thing. Just some. Can you guys? I mean, you've been on the field, you've played together. Have there been any big hit situations where, David, you've taken Bryan out, or Bryan, have you run around David? Or, I mean, I remember that try you scored against Australia. It was 2006, I think. Before, it was George Smith that missed you. Maybe if it was David, he would have caught you. But that was an amazing try that you scored. But I mean, can you guys were there any moments that you can think that you had a big clash together on the field, and is there anything that stands out?
Dave, nothing that springs to my mind. I mean, I absolutely, David was like Richie McCaw. You sort of try plan, the whole week about how you nullify the threat that he's going to pose at breakdowns or his physicality at, in the contact situations. And as hard as you try, it just never became a realization because he was just so good. So I'm sort of grateful that he wasn't in Perth in 2005, Jason, when I scored those tries. Yeah, but and I think Michael Hooper actually I think it was in 2013, Dave, at Brisbane, where Hoop sort of tackled me pretty hard. I know he got a yellow. I don't think he got a yellow card, but I think got a penalty there. But and I think that sort of springs to mind immediately.
Nothing springs to mind. I always had my head in a breakdown. He was screaming down the wing, scoring tries. So.
Yeah, you were doing the hard graft, and I must say, David, you took that role as a fetcher to a next level. We had Hendrik Rousseau in the last line series, and he was similar type of player to you. But I think both of you amazing. I mean, let's the records speak for themselves. So I think we kind of I wanted to touch on the Lions tour just quickly from your side. Some predictions, Bryan. You're on the cold face there. What do you think is going to happen? It was a tight game last night. Do you think we're going to see similar type of tightness in the games and the results coming up?
Yeah, Lions test matches against the Springboks are always pretty tight. 2009, we just kept them out in Durban, and that Mornay Steyn kick in 2009 that won it for us was pretty spectacular. A game we probably didn't deserve to win. I think the current situation is really disappointing for the players to not experience the traveling fans, empty stadia. COVID has thrown a lot into the pot, with Springbok players having to isolate, and the likes of a Siya Kolisi, Handré Pollard, they've only had one game yesterday in 20 months since winning the World Cup. So it definitely has not been the most ideal tour. There was talks of taking it to Australia, hosting it in the UK, which again, I think hindsight makes us all Nostradamuses, but I think it was brilliant to see the bulk of that team last night, who, I think there was 16 that actually, won the World Cup in 2019 represent, and really put the Lions physically to the test, and something they haven't experienced. I think just from a contextual perspective, I think people don't understand South Africa is no longer, or SA Rugby is no longer in the sort of Super Rugby competition. So we've been having sort of 4 Currie Cups on the go. There's a group of 45 players that have been in Springbok camp for the last 3.5 weeks. So it's sort of, there's a Currie Cup on the go at the moment, with players, having to go various different places. So it's been a mixed bag of everything. I think last night, like I said, gave a brief flutter of sort of something that brings a lot of joy. That first 40 minutes was really good. You sort of saw that, the last 30 minutes, the Lions got a little bit of ascendancy, probably just in terms of being match ready and battle ready. But I think, Lions probably left last night with a lot more questions than what they would have loved to have, where, Rassie, and Lukhanyo Am, who I thought was brilliant last night, sort of left that field. And yes, they didn't potentially score many points in the second half, but I just think the character and resilience they showed to close out that game against a quality Lions outfit, makes the series, with Alwyn Jones now coming back, talks of Dwayne Vermeulen potentially being ready. So a lot of excitement, but like I say, again, in the context of everything that's happening, Jason, it's sort of tough to really emphasize, how special a tour of the magnitude of a Lions is, because it only comes around once a career potentially, well, unless you're Frans Steyn or Mornay Steyn, but there's some test centurions that have never got the opportunity to play against the Lions because it just falls outside that window. So yeah, it's disappointing, but hopefully, for those brief, 85 odd minutes, we can just escape reality, get some excitement going, and have some joy brought to, again, dire circumstances around the world, not just in South Africa.
Yeah, no, look, it looks like it's going to be exciting, and I think I just hope the Springboks have got the the fuel in the tank to get three tests. I think that's the challenge. I think the one last night was a good one, but there's 3 tests still to be done. David, you didn't play against the Lions. You missed out. I know you had an injury, but are you going to be watching? What's your thoughts? Have you been following it much? Maybe just a quick quick word from you.
Yeah, sure. I'm really looking forward to watching. The Lions tour is always so special. As you said, I missed out through injury. Obviously, you watch them every
4 years, and then
every 4 years, and it's going to be huge. My concern is the Springboks doing 3 in a row after not playing for so long. It really takes its toll physically at that level to do that. Now it's effectively 4 weeks in a row, really, for them. So
well, that's why we want to wrap it up by game 2, David. So hopefully the last one's a dead
exactly. I think that'll be the key, is starting well, imposing themselves physically, which they do so well, the Springboks. And really trying to wrap it up in 2.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I want to just pause, give you guys a bit of a break. We're going to move over now to the auction. So I'll hand over to Sean. Sean's ready to rock and roll. Are you there, Sean?
Most certainly am, Jason. Good evening, everyone. And mate, you're doing such a great job with the hosting. Congratulations to you too.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I'll let you now make some money for the charities. So thanks, and I'm going to mute myself.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Thanks so much, mate. Look, just a quick few rules and regulations governing this auction. We are going to auction things with a fixed increment. So I'll be saying the price, and if you would like to bid, you just bid in the chat box. Just let me know that you would like to bid. All items will be delivered within Singapore free of charge. For our international guests, don't worry, we've got you covered. We do use DHL for all our shipping, but that will be at the winner's expense. The silent auction has been going absolutely gangbusters tonight. Thank you so much for all your support. It's been so popular, we are going to extend it till 9 p.m. tomorrow night. That's Singapore time. That's Friday night at 9 p.m. How to bid, as I said, you just put your bid in the chat box and winners will be notified on direct message from my assistant, Laura Lee, who's joining us tonight. Let's get into the very first lot tonight, which is this wonderful painting by Sue Gray. And can we just, there we go, we just have the next slide. Sue has been a long time supporter of the Africa Society. This painting was only one of 8 in a series, which she did all for charity. So you cannot buy these retail. 100% of all money raised on this entire Uprooted series will be going to various charities in Africa. Sue has done this series with the Ubuntu Zulu spirit of shared community. The Uprooted series really means that she is living in Singapore. She's uprooted herself, but her roots are still in Mother Africa. Just a quick word on Sue. She recently did her first public exhibition at the Art Porters Gallery here in Singapore. She had over 20 pieces. They all sold out within 2 weeks and they were all $5,000 or more. This is a bargain, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start this one off tonight. Just $400 to start off the bidding for the night. First bid, who wants in for $400? It's original oil on Belgian linen, 50 by 50, looking for a bid at 400. Any bids out there at $400 to start the bidding at 400? Looking for a bid there, Nigel. Thank you very much. You got that at 4. Now looking for 500. Biddings with Nigel at 400. 400 is bidding is the money. You're looking for $500, ladies and gentlemen. 400 we do have. Who's with me there? Just bid in there in the chat box for $500. Who wants to come in? $500 we're asking on this one. Asking for 500. Jason, I think you might have been interested in this one. Big Doggy, you went in for 500. Looking for a bid at 500 on the Sue Gray art. $500 to start. Who with me at $500? Anyone out there at 500? $500 on the Sue Gray art. We're getting it. There's 500. Jason Lamb, thank you very much, my friend. Coming in at 500 now, looking for 6. Biddings at $500. 600 now we ask. Biddings at $500. Do we have 600 out there? $500 against Jason Lamb. You are in the hot seat, my friend, at 500, looking for bids for 6. Anyone out there at $600? 500 is the biddings, the money at 5. Robert, did you want to come in at 6 there? I see you've raised your hand. Is that a bid at 600, my friend? Let me know on the chat box. Good to see you, my man. $500 is the bidding at the moment with Mr. Jason Lamb at 500, looking for bids at 6. Your Mombasa gin bottle, beautiful piece. Is anyone out there at 600? $600 we're asking for 600. 600 is now the asking price. Have a bid at 500. We've got Murray Arts, we've got people raising their hands. Can you put your bid on the chat box, or is that not working, my friends? Or are we just raising hands? Okay, we've got Murray Armstrong there has raised.
Sean, I think it's maybe not working. Mine worked, but I think
okay.
It looks like maybe
maybe I've just got the panel.
Joe,
thanks,
Nigel. It is working there. All the attendees should be able to actually put it in the chat option on the bottom part of this.
Okay, let me have a look, my friend.
My wife's just shouting it's not working. She tried to put
okay, it's not working. Thank you very much. Let me have a look how this is going in the chat.
Okay, it seems to be working now. Robert Moore has tested it.
Nigel, do you know where we're up to, my friend? One new message.
Yeah, it looks working. It's working now. Sean, you can carry on, mate.
I've only got the last bid. Jason, I know. Okay, I've got you. Right. So you got Robert at 600. Thank you so much, Robert. We've got Robert at 600 now. I think there were some more bids after that. So it is now at 700. Hey, Robert, good to see you, man. Robert now at $600, looking for bids at 700. 7, Jason Lamb back at 7 now, looking for 8. Biddings at $700, ladies and gentlemen, looking for a bid at 800. Robert, you're back at 800. Come with me, ladies and gentlemen, at $800. Jason Lamb's in the hot seat now at 7. Any bids further bidding over $700? The bidding the money at 700 with you. Robert, thank you very much, my friend. 800 back at you. Now with Robert at 800, looking for bids at $900, 800, 900. Jason, thank you very much. Now looking for bids at $1,000. Jason Lamb at 9. 900 is the bidding, the money at 9. 1,000. Murray Armstrong, welcome back in at $1,000. $1,000 is the biddings, the money. I'm going to bump it up to 1,200 now. $1,000 is the biddings, the money at 1, looking for bids at 1,200. Jason, thank you very much. Coming back at 1,002. Looking for bids at 1,400. 1,2 is the biddings, the money at 1,200. Looking for bids at 1,004. Jason Lamb at 1,002 is the biddings, the money at the hot seat at 1,002 is with you. Jason, looking for bids at 1,004. Murray's back at 1,004. Sorry, Robert, just pipped you out there, my friend. Got Murray in at 1,004. Now looking for bids at 1,006. 1,005, Robert, I will take that, my friend, just because we go back. 1,005 is the biddings, the money. 1,000 against you, Robert, looking for a bid at 1,600, asking 1,006. 1,500 is the bid. 1,500 is the money with you, Robert, at 1,005, looking for bids at 1,006. $1,600 to Mr. Jason Lamb, the hostess with the mostess. Sorry, Murray just got pipped out. Biddings with Jason at 1,006, but Murray, I'll take a bid at 1,007 if you're interested at 1,700. 1,600 is the bidding, is the money. 1,700, thank you very much, at 1,700. Now taking bids at 1,008. The bidding is with Murray Armstrong at $1,700, looking for bids at 1,800. Jason's back in there at 1,008. Take bids now at 1,900, or I'll take a bid at 2,000 if you want to come in with the big gazumper. 1,008 is the biddings, the money with Mr. Jason Lamb on the uprooted number 4, the wonderful Sue Gray painting, the original. $1,800 is the biddings, the money. 1,009 is now the bidding and the money. 2,000 is the bidding and the money with Mr. Robert Baggery, and 2,000. Sorry, Jason just came in a little bit late. Robert's got the bidding now at 2,000. Asking bids now at 21. 2,000 is the biddings, the money at $2,000. Who's with me at 2,100? $2,000 against Robert is the biddings, the money at 2,000. Any further bids or money here? We're asking bids at 2,100. Jason, do you want to come in at 21? I'm going to call 2,100. Jason, 22. Moray, thank you very much. Taking bids now at 2,400. 22 is the money. 2,200 is the biddings, the money at 22. Who's with me at 24? 2,200 we do have at Murray Armstrong at 2,002. 2,200 is the biddings, the money at 22. Who's with me, ladies and gentlemen? Robert, Jason, you're back in at 23 or 24. Bring it on. First call, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call this. First call at 2,200. Are we all done and silent? Any further bids or offer? I am out. Robert, thank you very much for your bidding. 2,300, Mr. Jason Lamb. 2,500 is now Visa. Mandy Lamb, his wife has just outbidded him. Mandy has done the big gazump, and I'm going to call that first time with you, Mandy. We've got some new blood in the game, ladies and gentlemen, at $2,500. Mandy Lamb from Visa. First call at 2,500. Second and final call at 2,500. Murray Armstrong, are you out? Give me a sign. We've got 2,500 going once. 2,500 going twice. Are we all done? Are we all silent? And 2,600, 2,600. Murray Armstrong come back in at 26. 2,600 is now the biddings, the money at 26. 2,700. Mandy Lamb comes straight back at you. 2,700 is now the biddings, the money at 2,007. Jason, you're out of here, bro. Mandy Lamb is now in the hot seat at 2,700. 2,700 is the biddings, the money at 2,700. 2,700 is the bid. 2,700 is the money, ladies and gentlemen, at 2,700. You all done? We all sign here, 2,700. First call, ladies and gentlemen, at $2,700. Second, final call. Are there no more bids or offers? Yes, there is, my friends. $2,800 of Murray Armstrong has come straight back in. 2,800 is the biddings, the money at 2,800. $3,000. Mandy Lamb comes straight back with the big $3,000 coming at you. $3,000 is the biddings, the money with Mandy Lamb at $3,000 is the biddings, the money at $3. Have a bid at $3,000, ladies and gentlemen, is a $3,000. Is we further bid or offer at $3,000. Taking bids at $32. Take a bid at $3,200, ladies and gentlemen. $3,000 is the bidding, the money at $3. Have a bid at $3,000 with Mandy Lamb. I'm going to call first call, ladies and gentlemen, at $3,000. $3,000 is the biddings, the money at first call, ladies and gentlemen, at $3. All done, all silent. I'm going to sell this, ladies and gentlemen. Last chance at $3,200. $3,000 is the bid. $3,000 is the money, ladies and gentlemen, at $3,000 going once. 3,200. Murray Armstrong is back in the game at 32. Biddings now at $3,200. And the biddings, the money at 32. Take bids at 34. Asking bids now at $3,400. $3,500. Mandy Lamb is back in the hot seat at 35. 3,005 is the bid. 3,005 is the money, ladies and gentlemen, at 35. 3,005 we do have. Any further bids at $3,500? I'll take a bid at 37. Asking $3,700 here, ladies and gentlemen. 35 is the bidding, the money at 3,500. Mandy Lamb's at 3,500. Any further bidder offered at 3,005. First call, ladies and gentlemen, at $3,500. 3,005 is the bidding, the money at 3,500. First call, ladies and gentlemen, at $3,500. 3,500 going once. 3,500. Second and final call at 3,500. Any further bidder offers, Murray, I'll just give you a chance to say yes or no in the chat box before I sell this at 3,500. Going one, got a note from Murray, so going once, going twice, and sold for $3,500. And I'll tell you what, that is going to make Sue Gray one very happy painter. And what a beautiful piece it is, Jason. You wanted it, mate, and you got it. And well done, Mandy Lamb. And thank you for all the other bidders out there. Wow, let me have a drink of water. Let's go to the next lot, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have any Lions fans out there? Well, we have this wonderful English rugby jersey from the 2003 World Cup, signed by their two heroes, Johnny Wilkinson. It still hurts. I am an Australian, as you know, it still hurts. Martin Johnson, both signed this wonderful jersey. It comes beautifully framed and presented with a certificate of authenticity. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start it off. Just $1,000 to start it off. Bidding of the money at $1,000. $1,000 to start it off on $1,000 to start the bidding of the money. What a new message there. Sorry, let me just adjust my screen. $1,000 is 1,000 is the bidding is the money at $1. We've got a bid there. $1,000 is the bidding. Anyone out there at $1,000 for the English rugby jersey at $1,000. Asking bids at $1,000. Got a bid there at $1. Now asking $1,250. Got a bid there at $1,000. Now asking $1,250 on the jersey at $1,250. 1,000 is the bidding, is the money at $1. 1,000 we do have. Looking for a bid at $1,250, ladies and gentlemen, on the English rugby jersey at $1,250. Any Lions fans out there? $1,250 we're asked. Have a bid at 1,000. This is a little bit under reserve. Got a $1,250 there. Chris, thank you very much. Got you there at $1,250. Now asking $1,005. Have a bid with Chris at $1,250. Now asking $1,500. Bidding's at $1,250. Biddings at 1,250, ladies and gentlemen, looking for bids at 1,005. 1250 is the bid. 1250 is the money. Who's out there at $1,500? 1250 we do have. Going to call first call on this at 1,250. Looking for bids at 1,005. Got 1250 against you, Chris, at 1250. 1,500. Welcome in. That's Kosala and Jerry. Just got there too late, my friend, at 1,005. The bidding is at $1,500. Jerry, I'll take a bid at 1,750 if you want to come in at 1,750. 1,500 is the bid with Kosala. Welcome in at 1,005. Jerry, how about you come at 1,006? I'll invite you in, Jerry Ball, at 1,600. 1,600 is it, Jerry, you're out there at 1,006. Have a bid at 1,005 against Kosala. 1,750, Jerry Ball, welcome in at 1,750 is now the bidding is the money at 1,750. Take a bid at 2,000. Nice round figure at $2,000. 1,750 is the bidding is the money at 1,750 with Jerry Ball, welcome in at 1,750. $2,000 at Kosala at $2,000, welcome in. $2,000 is the biddings the money at 2. Have a bid at 2. Looking for bids at 22. I'll take a bid at 2,200. $2,000 is the biddings the money at 2. 2,000 we do have. Take a bid at 2,200 if you're out there at 22. Taking bids at 22, 2,200, 2,000 is the current bid. Have a bid at $2,000 on the English rugby jersey from 2003. $2,000 is the bidding, is the money at 2. Going to call this first call at $2,000, ladies and gentlemen. $2,000 first call, fair warning. I am going to sell this at $2,000. Got $2,000 first call at $2,000, fair warning, ladies and gentlemen. Any further bids or offers at 2? We've got $2,000 going once. We've got $2,000 going twice. Are we all done? Are we all silent at 2,100? Jerry Ball, welcome in now. The bidding's at 2,100. I'll take a bid at 22. 2-1 is the bid. 2-1 is now the money, ladies and gentlemen. Straight back at you at $20,200. 22 is now the bid. 2,200. Take a bid at 23. 22 is the bidding's the money at 22. We'll take a bid at 23. First call, ladies and gentlemen, at 22. 22 is the bidding's the money at first call at 23. Jerry, welcome back in at 2,300. Now taking bids at 24. 2,003 is the bidding's the money at 2,300. 24 back at you. Now at 2,004, taking bids now at 2,500. Have a bid at 2,400 is the bidding the money at 2,004. 2005, where are you? 2004, come with me. 2005, 2005, welcome back in at 2005. Now taking bids at 2006. 25 is the biddings, the money at 2005. Jerry Ball at $2,500, looking for bids at 26. Have a bid at 26 now. Now let's take bids at 27. We're in a ding-dong battle here, ladies and gentlemen. 2,600 is now the biddings, the money at 26, taking bids at 2,700. 26 is the bid. 26 is the money, ladies and gentlemen, at $2,600. First call there at 26. Going to make this first call at $2,600. Fair warning, ladies and gentlemen. First call has been made at $2,600. 26 is the biddings, the money at 2006. 2,750, Jerry Ball comes in. 2,750 is now the bidding in the money. I'll take a bid at 3,000. 2,750 is the bid. 27 is $3,000, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. In we go at 3,000. Bidding now at 3,000, asking now 32.5. 3,000 is the biddings, the money at 3. Taking bids now at 3,250. $3,000 is the bidding. The big gazumper comes out for 3. We wanted it. We asked for it. We got it. $3,000 is now the bidding, the money. I'm going to call first call on that, ladies and gentlemen, at 3,000. Any further bids or offer? Jerry, are you coming back in at 32.5? $3,000. All done, says Jerry. I got $3,000 going once, twice, and sold for $3,000. Well done and great bidding, ladies and gentlemen. So exciting. Lucky I did my aerobics this afternoon, Jason, because I'm running out of breath here. Oh, did we mention the wonderful 2003 World Cup? This is such a beautiful piece, ladies and gentlemen. It is an official team issue from the 2000 World Cup in Australia of the wonderful South African side. It is original, it is team issue, it is official merchandise. It is in mint condition. It's been beautifully framed and signed by some absolute legends. Look at that, DeWitt Barry, Bakkies Botha, the late Juice van der Westerhuizen, and the entire squad. It's an absolute cracking piece, this one. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to start this one just at $1,000, ladies and gentlemen. Who's in for $1,000 to start us off? Get a bid in at $1,000, ladies and gentlemen, to start this one off at $1,000. $1,000, we've got a new message. Let's hope it's a bid. And we are at $1,000. Robert Moore is in the house at 1,000. Welcome in, Robert. Now take bids at $1,250. Have a bid at 1,000 with Robert Moore. This is a beautiful piece, my friends, at 1,000. Robert Moore is in the house at $1,000, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take a bid at 1,250. 1,000 is the bid. 1,000 is the money, ladies and gentlemen. Looking for bids now at $1,250. Have a bid at 1,000. $1,000 is the bidding. The money at one. Who's with me now at 1,250? Take a bid at 1,205. 1.25 we do ask. Have a bid at 1,000 against Robert Moore for the 2003. This is a beautiful Nike vintage jersey in mint condition, original. $1,000 is the bidding, is the money at one. Take a bid at 1,250, ladies and gentlemen. Got a bid with Mr. Robert Moore at 1,000. And out there at 1,250, ladies and gentlemen. $1,000 is the bidding, is the money at one. This is a great piece, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to call first call at $1,000 if there's no more bids or offers out there. $1,000, we have first call against Mr. Robert Moore at $1,000. Are we all done and silent here at 1,000? Fair warning, I'm going to sell this at $1,000, ladies and gentlemen. I've got first call at 1,000. I have got second and final call at $1,000. Are we all done? Are we all silent? 1,000 going once, 1,000 going twice, and sold for $1,000. Mr. Robert Moore, thank you very much, sir. I know you've been doing the silent auction as well, so that's a nice pickup for you. You will really enjoy that.
Sorry,
Next
sorry,
up,
Sean.
mate, go ahead, Jason.
Can we just do a quick pause? Brian's under a bit of pressure time-wise, so I want to do a couple of quick questions.
No worries, mate. We'll come back. We've got two more. Yeah. We'll do them at the end.
We'll do that at the end. So apologies for that. And Brian, no let's maybe go into the chat box here and look at some questions. So I think quite a relevant question here for Brian from Rob Begri. Thanks for the memories. He says it's hard to imagine what a week in Bok camp before a first test is really like. But in the current conditions, under restrictions, what does a day in the life of a Bok look like? How much of the learning can be book or laptop based? And in your in the COVID isolation, can you even do a gym or anything constructive in a preparation sense?
Yeah, great question, which I have absolutely no idea. I've never had to go through COVID as a professional athlete. I actually have no idea what the players must be going through. I've never had to play in empty stadiums. I've never had to self-isolate, Jason. So, I mean, given how well the Boks went in that first 40 minutes yesterday, I think Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber are extremely technically sound in their preparation, and I think the leadership and the experience that current Springbok side has will hopefully lead to more of what we saw in that first 40 minutes in the first test match. Alliance series is without a doubt the pinnacle of a lot of players' careers, because it's just such a rarity. And I think the manner in which the players stepped up yesterday really just showed how keen they are to get this going and be a part of a series, despite the circumstances, despite COVID, despite the looting and civil unrest in South Africa. The players really want to get there. I don't know, how the players are training. I know there was a couple of COVID cases over the course of the last 2 weeks where players have had to self-isolate, be in their rooms, adhere to the restrictions of the medical advisory group that the tour has formed. So I would love to give you an answer. I can't. I've never been in this situation. I don't know mentally what it must be like. They're not having fans. I got to sit in the stadium, fortunately, last night as a part of the Sky Sports crew, and it was brilliant to be there. It was sad knowing that people weren't experiencing this live. So I unfortunately just don't have. But like I said, I think seeing what we saw last night, they definitely were prepared.
They're doing something in there. But it must be tough. Andre Pollard. Who was the other player you mentioned?
Yeah, Khaleesi, France Steyn, France Maloba. There's quite a few that are still not even in Cape Town at the moment. I think they're still isolating in Johannesburg. So it's really very far from ideal preparations.
Thanks, Bryan. Just a question for David. I was born in Kenya, played most of my rugby in England. Do you have a similar background with regards to playing for a different nation than your country of birth? And what is your opinion on a 3-year residency rule?
I think by the time we moved to Australia, I was just so grateful for the opportunity that I just jumped into it, and that sort of became the team I supported, and I wanted to play for the Wallabies. I certainly relished playing against South Africa, and even standing there for the South African anthem was special, particularly in South Africa. Hearing it getting belted out. So I'd say it was more special, kind of playing against the team that I'd hoped to play for. The 3-year rule is really, it's an interesting problem in union. I would love to see players who have played for tier 1 nations be able to go back at the end of their career and play for their country of birth or countries that they qualify for. But it's obviously an issue that I don't know, probably works for the big countries at the moment. So I'm not sure how long it'll be till that gets changed.
Okay.
Yes, so it already has been changed, Jason. It's a 5-year rule. I think started post the Rugby World Cup in 2019. So I think from 2020, there's a 5-year residency rule that is now being put into play. And obviously, World Rugby are also trying to alleviate it. I think it's very difficult to stop it, unfortunately, because if it takes you 4 years to potentially get a passport, of which Quade Cooper, being a New Zealander, still can't get his Australian passport. So again, what exactly is that residency rule? But World Rugby are looking into try changing it to, again, make the impact greater for the tier 2 nations who are massively affected by their players, just being able to earn a lot more money in other parts of the world.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of players because of that. So, Greg Atherston, are you there? Just a quick question as our sponsor. I know you had a question. Do you want to shoot a question off before we say goodbye to the panel to the panelists?
Yeah, I suppose a very quick one to both of you, Bryan and David. What's going to be the difference between the two teams?
The Lions, sorry.
The Lions and Boks. Yeah, the Lions and Boks. Difference between the two teams.
David, I'll let you go first. I'm almost on the ground, so I definitely have a little bit more insight.
I have no idea. I think attrition will play its part. A series like this, with the intensity that will happen out there, regardless of how much preparations gone into it, and with all the COVID stuff, and I think it'll be a test of attrition between the two squads, and who can put together the 3 best performances.
Yeah, 100%. I think attrition, the physical combativeness of the games are going to be extremely important. We reflect on the 2019 Rugby World Cup final, and I think England were found wanting physically, which led South Africa to not only score some great tries but absolutely just dominate them in almost every phase of the game. I think there's been a lot of mind games that have started this week, in particular with Rassie Erasmus and Warren Gatland. Jacques Nienaber maybe not so much of a of a mental type of mind playing guy, but Rassie certainly without a doubt. And I think the Lions were extremely surprised at the team that they were going to play last night. So they'll now start preparing, physically and mentally for that attrition that David spoke about, because test matches are won and lost, purely on how you dominate your opponent, both on attack and defense. The Boks did that extremely well in the first 45 minutes, and the Lions came back and showed what they can do. So yeah, I think structurally, it is winter in Cape Town, which means a lot of rain around. And again, the likes of a Mornay Steyn or Andre Pollard that can dominate the game tactically and make your opposition play in their own half and potentially force them into mistakes, giving you that opportunity. In rugby nowadays, we seeing that the team that has the ball less, has more territory, makes more tackles, but ends up winning the game. And I think we'd love to see running rugby like we saw Ches and Colby, Lucanio and Sabu Nkosi last night. But again, a game of attrition that's going to be won within the context of the physicality.
Well, I thought definitely the Lions were there. I mean, we weren't shoving them around like we did in the World Cup final a few years back. They were. I think Gatland's put a big pack together. But just conscious of time, and I think
I can have one more, maybe
one more. Okay. So this one here, for both of you? What was the toughest moment in your rugby career, and how did you overcome it, following your passion and dream?
Yeah, Dave, I'll take this one first. For me, it was 2010, actually playing against Australia in Bloemfontein. I'd had a very average season. Just things weren't well for the Springboks. I'd moved down to Cape Town. Things had gone really well with the Stormers. We reached the first Super Rugby final ever, lost against the Bulls, but it really had gone well. And the Springboks just had a very indifferent year after a fantastic 2009. And I individually wasn't going well, and I got booed off, Bloemfontein Stadium, in a loss to Australia, where Kurtley Beale kicked like a 55-meter touchline penalty for Australia to win it. And I'm getting booed by 40-odd thousand of your own people, knowing that you're just giving everything you can to try make the country give the jersey everything, and that sort of wasn't well received, which is weird, because you dedicate and sacrifice and give so much for the cause, and people don't always see that. And it's easy to put yourself in a position where you're completely putting someone under a microscope and not having walked a day in their shoes. And for me, mentally, it was a massive challenge. There were things going on in my personal life that I couldn't make public knowledge. So you sort of try to keep all these things, and not realizing that it is okay to not be okay. And that was really tough. But like David said, having good people around me, good coaches, good support staff, good family and friends that I could lean on in terms of understanding who I was more than the Springbok that I currently was. But it was tough, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but it was sort of going back to the basics, trying to find out where I was slipping up. Was I trying too hard? Was I not allowing things to come a little bit easier? But going back to the basics, doing things that I've potentially taken for granted, in terms of working with Dr. Cheryl Calder, who we worked with, the eye visual specialist that helped us in 2007, taking focus more away from what's happening off the field to purely what's happening on the field, and not try as hard, because it just seemed the harder I tried, the worse it became. But grateful for someone like Peter de Villiers, who backed me when it was probably much easier to get rid of me. But getting booed by 40-odd thousand of your own countrymen and women wasn't an easy opportunity.
Well, I mean, thanks for sharing that, Bryan. And I think you bounced back well. I mean, you carried on, and you broke the records for the top try scorer, and I'm sure those guys that booed you changed their opinions shortly after that. David, just your lowest time in your career, toughest moment, or and how did you overcome it?
So I did my anterior cruciate ligament in my, I think it was the third game for the Brumbies after I'd moved there from the Western Force in 2013. Did the whole rehab thing. Got back in 2014, and same thing. It was the second or third game. Did it again, and I think that was definitely my lowest point in rugby. And I guess the thing that got me out of it was having an much older friend who, after a few weeks, hearing me moping around, kind of just squared me up and said, like, rather than saying why me, you've got to start asking what can I make of it. And I guess it was just the right advice at the right time, and I kind of took that to really use that time to kind of reassess how I was training, how I was eating, what I could be doing better. Started studying at uni. Really made the most of 2014, and was determined to come back kind of in the best shape of my life for the 2015 World Cup. And I guess with a lot of support from my wife Emma, and everyone else that goes into it, I was able to do that. So but some good advice.
Yeah, no, well done. I mean, to recover, I mean, injury is the worst for any sportsman, and then make the final 2015. So thanks for sharing that. Bryan, how are you doing for time?
Yeah, I've unfortunately got off. I'm already a couple of minutes late for my next meeting, Jason.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
All right.
I mean,
So
if we could wrap up.
No problem. Well, I think we're going to carry on with the. We've got to announce our raffle winners, and we're going to do a few more auction items. So, just in closing, just to you both, David. I mean, you're welcome to stay on, but Bryan, both of you, thank you very much for taking the time. I know you're both busy, and really, for us, it means a lot to have you on board and part of this webinar. And the fact that we've got over 80 people registering just shows a success that it was. So thank you very much on behalf of the African Society of Singapore and the South African Chamber of Commerce for your contribution, and we wish you both all the best. Bryan, stay safe down there in South Africa. David, good luck with everything in RRT. When I'm not sure when you're back in Zimbabwe, but I'm sure you're longing for it. So safe travels. Bryan, you can switch off. I don't know if you want to say anything.
No, thanks, Jason. No, I appreciate that. I think to you, Nigel, for everyone setting it up, this African Chambers of Commerce over in Singapore. I think it's great to have relations outside of South Africa. But it's great to see South Africans, doing extremely well outside of our shores. So, wishing you all continued success. Again, I know the pandemic's probably not as hectic where you guys currently are, but yeah, please keep safe. Thanks for the opportunity. Sean was brilliant as an auctioneer, the best online auctioneer I've heard so far. So hopefully there's one or two more bids that he can get going, because he has been incredible. To Jade as well, just for all the logistics, thank you very much. And yeah, just hoping that everyone stays safe in these coming times, and let's be kind to each other.
Thanks, Bryan. Cheers.
Go well, everybody. Bye.
How are you for time, David? Do you wanna say a few words, or how you?
Yeah, I'll just say a big thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks to everyone who's listening and bidding. And yeah, for the support of Rangelands and what we're trying to do.
That's fantastic. Thanks, David. And we'll be in touch afterwards. So thank you for your contribution, and it's an amazing work that you're doing there in Zimbabwe. So thanks for being with us, and we'll chat soon.
Cheers. Thanks, Jason.
Okay. Cheers, David. All right. Sean, I'm going to hand back to you. We've got still 40 people on. We can try and get a few more moving before we close.
Thanks very much, Jason. Just two more items to go under the hammer. Jade, can we just go to the next slide, if you would, please? Oh, it's the Liverpool Premier League 2020. You will never walk alone. This is Anfield, ladies and gentlemen, signed by the whole team and squad. Mo Saylor, the captain, Jordan Henderson, Virgil, super coach Jurgen. This is an absolute collector's item. Can't muck around. We're a bit short on time. It's got to start it off. $1,500. Who's in for a starting bid, opening bid at $1,005? 1,005 we do ask. 1,005 to start the bidding at $1,500. Looking for a bid at 1,005. 1,005, who's out there at $1,500 to start the bidding for the opening bid on the Liverpool at 1,500. 1,500 is the opening bid. Any bids or offers on this one at 1,500 to start the bidding at 1,005. looking for an opening bid. Jason Lamb is on for $1,500. Looking for bids now at $1,750. $1,500 is the bidding, is the money. $1,500 against Jason Lamb is now the bid, ladies and gentlemen. Who's with me at $1,750? Looking for a bid at $1,750. Going to call first call on this one, ladies and gentlemen, because we are running a little bit short on time. 1,500 is against Jason. $1,500 is the biddings, the money at 1,005. First call, ladies and gentlemen. Any further bids or offers? I am going to sell this at 1,005. I know he wants this one. 1,005 going once. 1,005 going twice. All done, all silent, and sold to Jason for $1,500. And I'm sure Mandy is going to be very happy with that as well, mate. Last one tonight are these beautiful bronze sculptures. Thank you very much for sponsoring this prize, Mr. Dustin Yates, another wonderful South African that we call friends here in Singapore. And what a great guy he is. He is the agent for these beautiful sculptures from the wonderfully internationally recognized Vincent De Silva out of Cape Town. These are incredible, ladies and gentlemen. They are just so beautiful. This one weighs in at 3.5 kilos. It's 32.5 centimeters tall. The lion bust by Vincent De Silva. What a piece this is. Ladies and gentlemen, going to start the bidding at $2,500 on this one to start the bidding at 25. Looking for an opening bid, ladies and gentlemen, at $2,500, start the bidding at 25. 2005, we ask, ladies and gentlemen, on the De Silva, Vincent De Silva bust, the sculpture. This is a great piece at 2,500. Looking for an opening bid, ladies and gentlemen, at 2005. Robert comes in. Welcome back in, sir, at 2,500, and we take that bid with thanks. Robert Baggery's in at 2005. Looking for a bid at 2,750. 25 is the biddings, the money at 2,500, taking bids at $2,750. Last piece on offer tonight, ladies and gentlemen, lot number 5, the last one in the live auction. 2005 against Robert is the biddings, the money at 25, taking bids at 27.5. Who's out there at 27.5? Looking for bids at $2,750. 25 is the biddings, the money at 2,500. Moray Armstrong's in for 27.50. Now is the biddings, the money at 27.5. Have a bid at 2,750. Now taking bids at 3,000. Have a bid at 27.5. 27.5 is the biddings, the money at $2,750. Who's with me, ladies and gentlemen, at 3? 2,750 is the biddings, the money at 27.5. Take bids at 3,000. Inviting bids in at $3,000, ladies and gentlemen. 27.5 is the biddings, the money. Going to call first call here, ladies and gentlemen, at 27.5. Moray Armstrong at 27.5. The bidding is with you. Have first call, ladies and gentlemen, at 27,500. 27.5 is the biddings, the money, first call. Fair warning, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sell this at $2,750. We've got 27.5 going once. We've got 27.5 going twice, and final call. We all done and all silent at 27.5 and sold for 27.5. That is an absolute beautiful pickup. You will love that piece. And thank you very much for Dustin Yates for sponsoring that prize. Don't forget, we have the online auction still running. That is going to be running till about this time tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Singapore time. The bids have been coming thick and fast. Thank you so much for all your support, and back to you, Jason.
Sean, thank you so much. That was amazing. I mean, you know, we did one last year for the Africa Society, and I think this was amazing. This topped that. So amazing work. And drink that water. I'm sure you've got nothing left there. But I think if we're coming to the end now, the next slide, I think we're going to show who the winners are of the lucky draw. Can we move on to the next slide, Jade? Raffle, here we go. So the raffle prize winners. So David has donated 2 of his books, In Our Nature, a book by him and his wife. So David and Emma Pocock. The winners are Peter Wheeler and Moray Armstrong. So well done, Pete and Moray. I think you're getting a free book there. You've did some good bidding, so thank you. We've got an African Marketplace hamper sponsored by by Nikki Hayes from African Marketplace, and that's worth $150. Winner is Kosala Jawira, so congratulations. And then the winner of the big prize, staycation, which is valued over $1,000, the Capella at Sentosa, one-night stay. The winner is Erika Sirimane. So congratulations, guys. Thank you for joining us, and I'm glad that you walked away with a small little prize. We'll contact you with afterwards with your prizes. So on to the next slide. Well, then that comes to the end. So we've said goodbye to David and Bryan, and I just want to then say last special word of thanks to Jade and Nigel for on the back end putting this on. Thank you very much. And then a last thank you to Torrock Capital and Greg Atherstone. Thank you so much for being our headline sponsor, Greg. You've been a good supporter, a strong supporter of both the South African Chamber and the Africa Society. So thank you once again. So all of those back in South Africa, just wishing you lots of love and courage, and stay strong back there. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a fantastic webinar. We've raised some good money, I think, here for charity. So just wanted to say thank you. If you want to donate directly to Bryan's Foundation and to the Rangeland Restoration Trust, you can go Google it, Google Bryan, Google David, and you'll find the link there to donate directly to them. They're both doing amazing work, and it was an absolute honor and privilege to be your moderator today. And I wish you all the best. Good night, and thank you once again.